Welcome to Missouri Sports Talk. I'm your host, Cameron Staley, and today I'm here with
Brody Smith.
Brody. You went to JC.
Yes, I did.
You're the first JC player on this podcast, I believe.
I'm honored.
So I guess I should ask you, what was JC like?
I'd say I love my 4 years at JC. I actually lived in the Capital City District, but growing up, I kind of grew up with a lot of the JC guys. I didn't go to the public schools for elementary and middle schools. I went actually to Trinity, like a smaller parochial school, but growing up, I kind of knew I wanted to go to JC just because I was friends with all those guys. And then I finished 8th grade, and CC was opening up, fancy new high school. Everybody wanted to go to CC. There was more people going to CC, and so I was able to apply for a special exception and got in just because everybody was trying to go to CC, so few people were trying to go to JC, and it just worked out that way.
Right, so you went to JC all 4 years?
I did, yes.
Awesome. So before we get to the interview, of course, let's get to the hot seat.
All right.
I believe you are the 6th person to have on the hot seat. So I'm trying to make new questions every 3. So you're the last person on the version 2 questions.
Okay.
So, of course, I did mention this. So I'll give you 3, 2, 1, and then I will say the first question. Okay. You have 60 seconds to answer these 10. All right? All right, 3, 2, 1. Favorite TV show?
Scrubs.
Least favorite food?
I kind of like everything. Like mushy peas.
Okay. Favorite music artist?
I'm not a huge music guy, but I'll go Darius Rucker because I saw him in concert.
How about a bucket list item?
Go to Australia.
Okay. Favorite cereal?
I like Cheerios, just basic.
How about a hobby?
I love scuba diving and I love fishing.
What's your birthday?
May 9th. May 9th, 2006. I got 6 and 9 messed up.
Favorite song?
Man, again, not a huge music guy. I'll go Big River by Johnny Cash.
Least favorite sport?
I don't know. I love watching baseball, and I managed the baseball team, but I hated baseball growing up, playing it at least.
Okay, how about your favorite color?
Red.
All right, that was 1 minute and 2 seconds, so just over.
We'll have to work on that.
You'll have to start getting rapid fire questions going in your dorm. All right, so let's get on to it. Before we get to football, of course, you played some other sports. What were those?
I played basketball in quotations. I was more of a glorified screen setter. I probably wouldn't have played if we weren't so good, but going to the Final Four back-to-back years was pretty memorable, and just basketball is a fun environment because it's such a small team. You do a lot of team bonding, staying in hotels. I'm so glad I did it. It sucked running as a big guy, but I had a lot of fun with it, and looking back at it, no regrets playing it.
So when did you start playing basketball?
That was probably the first sport I played, just because my dad was a bigger basketball guy. He didn't really grow up playing football. So he wasn't a huge sports guy, but he coached, I think probably in 2nd grade is when I first started playing upward. And of course he coached that, and then he kind of going into up to I think 6th grade. He was an assistant coach on one of my teams, and so yeah, started young, but I was all right in middle school, and then I kind of just fell out of love with the sport, and that's when I kind of discovered how much fun I had with football.
Right. When did you start getting varsity reps with the basketball team?
I think I got in my junior year, but it was trash time. And senior year, I didn't really play much. I averaged 0.8 points a game. Probably played 5 minutes a game. Kind of just went in when there was foul trouble, but it was a good team. When you have 6'8" Nelson Schinkel and 6'6" Jordan Martin, 6'7" debatably, it's hard to find a spot on the floor. But I was not a skilled basketball player. I was just a big physical screen setter, rebounder, that kind of guy. Right.
So your senior year, of course, you did mention a Final Four run. This one kind of had some controversy to it, of course, with some forfeits. And there's a lot of people that kind of doubted you guys getting to the Final Four. So what was that season kind of like for you?
Yeah, coming into it, a big returning cast from the third place team last year that arguably could have, like that Final Four. I remember all 4 teams there could have won state. Cardinal Ritter ended up winning, but they were losing by 7 in the fourth to the team we beat for the third place game, and Ladue just had a crazy shooting game against us. So we knew coming into it, like we had some state championship aspirations, and come in playing a crazy schedule, playing a lot of state-ranked teams, playing like East St. Louis, schools like that, and we just kept losing games by 1 possession. Like it'd come down into those final 2 minutes, and it would just kind of balls wouldn't bounce our way, and that sucked. And so we didn't have the craziest record. We fell out of the state rankings, but end of the season. Oh, and I mean, like Callias losing on a game winner, all that stuff was terrible. But like I would say that the locker room managed to kind of stay together and keep the goal what the goal was, and that was we wanted to win in the postseason. And these losses, we just had to learn from them. And then end of the season, there's the whole paperwork thing with our team and Judah, which. Again, he did nothing wrong. Our team did nothing wrong. It wasn't on the coaches. It was just a unfortunate paperwork mishap. And we didn't even know if we were going to have a postseason. But luckily, the mission decided to spare us and just kind of went on that magical run, which was just a lot of fun. And a lot of people had very low expectations for us. And to just keep winning and keep winning in those situations that we kind of lost in earlier in the year, those close games like holding Parkview scoreless for like 5 straight minutes at the end of the game, and like scoring like 7 points in a minute against Elias to blow it open with no time left was just kind of just fun memories, and glad I played basketball.
Right. I feel like senior year kind of has that damper on it because of the forfeits. You guys had over 20 wins, but, on paper, people see, 12 or 13 wins?
Yeah. I mean, I think going into the playoffs, we're 7 wins. And so, yeah, I think 12 to win 3 district, and then, so 12 wins. But
right.
Again, we didn't really care. All we cared about was that second place trophy.
Right. In your all's mind, you knew that you weren't a 12-win team. You guys had over 20.
Yeah. I don't think anybody. I think in the near future, when people are looking back at the Misha record books and they see a 12-win team with a second place finish at state, they're going to be confused. But who cares what those people think?
We know what happened. That's what matters. All right. So let's get to the football field. Of course, this is your sport. I want to ask you, when did you start playing?
Again, I think second grade I played flag football, but I was just a center. I would snap the ball and I'd do like a 2-yard curl just to kind of get in the way of the blitzer. But my first year playing tackle, I think was 4th or 5th grade. All my kind of friends from Trinity kept playing flag, but then I went to play with Pal because they started the youngest. And my mom was always kind of a little nervous about football, but she talked to some she's a PA, she works in a hospital, and she talked to some doctors, and they said they'd let their kids play, so she let me play young, and just kind of, it wasn't the most fun in middle school, but then once you kind of figure out, you grow into your body and figure out kind of what you're doing, that's when I really fell in love with football.
Right, so in high school, you played offensive guard, so I want to ask you, what was it like kind of playing in the trenches your whole entire career?
Again, middle school, like, debatably, I hated it. You don't really know what you're doing. You're kind of just told to block the person in front of you, and everybody else gets all the glory for the touchdowns. And, like, that's hard as a kid. But then I got to high school, and you run different plays, like some pulling stuff, and you really, like, start to understand the game within the game, and, like, the level of technique that there is for offensive line. And that's kind of when it became a lot of fun, for me at least, just kind of moving people against their will. And I don't know, it sucked in practice going mashing heads and you look over at the wide receivers and they're playing catch and stuff like that. And so some of those dog days of summer and getting into the season when your body's hurting, that grind can suck, but I'm glad I play offensive line. I'll say that.
Right. So who's been your inspiration throughout the way? You can give an on the field and an off the field if you'd like.
So probably my favorite on the field offensive lineman, I would say Taylor Lewan from the Titans, just because he's kind of got that swagger to him. I mean, he was kind of always injured towards the end of his career, but I don't know if he has a podcast called Bussin' with the Boys.
Right.
I listen to that podcast every once in a while, and he's just such an athletic freak, and just his run the damn ball and run left stuff, and just kind of embracing the run game and a pass heavy systems that all the NFL teams run, embracing the Titans scheme, and I just kind of like the swagger he plays with. And then off the field, I'd say my dad. Just because we grew up, he's the one who made me fall in love with sports, taking me to basketball and football games, and I can remember going up to South Bend to watch a game, and it was -9 degrees, and it was the field was -32, but I loved every second of it, and we were miserable and freezing, but I was just happy to be there and watch games and go up to Mizzou games. Just kind of fell in love with football.
Right. So at JC, your 9th and 10th grade year, did you get any starting playing time at all?
So yeah, my 9th grade year, I actually started a game at defensive tackle. We had some injuries, and so they pulled up me and another freshman to play against Rockbridge, and so we kind of split time in a few defensive packages. And we didn't do anything. I think I had a pressure where I kind of had a good move, and then the ball was out before I got there, but that was about the only thing I remember from that game. And then my sophomore year, I started pretty much every single game, both sides of the ball.
Did you guys have any success in your earlier years?
So my freshman year, we were pretty terrible. Talented team, but first year head coach, you know how it is. And so I think we won 3 games. And then my sophomore year, we were 6-5, which going into the season, we were predicted to win 3 games. Again, another brand new head coach, so that was my second one in my 2 years of high school. But that was a pleasant surprise because that was the first winning season in 5 or 6 years. And we beat CC, we beat Battle, beat some good CMAC teams, and so that was kind of a turning point, especially because we had 8 seniors. Not a very heavy senior class, and I don't actually 8. I think it was more 6, but not a super big senior class, and we were just kind of able to turn some heads and have some success.
Right. So how about your junior year?
Junior year was a little bit same 6-win season, but our schedule was a little bit easier. A little bit of a disappointment just because we thought we finally got some things going on the right track, but it is what it is. We still went to a district championship, lost to Hannibal, but just continue to grow under the new head coach, and we were a young team at that point. Same thing, and then senior year kind of is when we had the most seniors and stuff.
Right. So your senior year, it was kind of a dogfight throughout the year. You guys had a solid record, but then you all made a very, very nice playoff run to the Final Four. So kind of give me a sense of what that year was like.
Yeah, so week 1, played, who was it? Osage, School to Osage. 3rd play of the game, I remember going down, and I thought I jammed my thumb. So I played the rest of the game, got it tied up real tight, and then after the game I talked to the team doctor, and I could kind of tell by the way he was moving it that's not how a thumb is supposed to move. So I actually broke my thumb that game. Had to sit out the next 3 games and then play a bunch of them in a cast, which sucked because I knew we played Hannibal, and we were in that game for a little bit, and that just sucked sitting on the sideline watching. We were in it, and then few turnovers, mistakes kind of made it go out of hand, and the final score didn't really reflect what the teams were like. That's kind of how a lot of the games were. Rockbridge came down to the final drive, threw it up to Kendrick, who he also had to play in a cast, a wide receiver in a cast. Kind of a funny scene, but
yeah, had
it in his arms, and then he dropped it. So that was another heartbreaker of a loss. Who did we play next? Oh, Smith Cotton, whatever. We smoked them. Then we played Cap City. That was the first game I was back. I was playing in a cast. I was out of shape, but we managed to squeak out a pretty big victory. Then we just kind of had we played Helias, and we had 20 less yards of offense, but we lost by 18, which, again, just kind of the tale of we were right there all season, but we couldn't quite turn the page. Lost to Battle, and they were not a good team, but we had some injuries at running back. I think we were on our 4th or 5th string running back. We had some concussions and some other injuries, and we had 7 fumbles that game and lost. So that was a heartbreaker because it would have been nice to get a 10-win season because I think we ended at 9-5, but that game we should have won. So we ended up being 9-6. But the whole story of the regular season was just being right there and kind of not finishing the job. But then come the playoffs, we played Pleasant Hill, which they were a 1-loss team in the regular season. Lost to Warrensburg, who they ended up beating by I don't even know how many, over 3 scores in the playoffs. And so we went up to their place, played them, and came down to the very last few possessions, squeaked out a win, which just from not having very much success my whole high school career, that was so much fun, finally getting that district championship trophy. And then going on the road 3.5 hours to McDonald County, middle of nowhere, just a bunch of, that was the toughest game I've ever played as an offensive lineman, just because, those are just cornbread fed, just huge offensive and defensive linemen that are just tiny splits, just running the ball down your throat. And we were a run team too, so it was just pound for pound every single play. And again, came down to the final possession, and we were able to get a big 4th down stop and then go the distance of the field to take the lead and win it. And then Kearney, just some missed opportunities. They were an incredible team. They ended up winning the state championship by 40 points. So looking back at it, I don't know how many times we would win that game, but we certainly we had some turnovers. We shot ourselves in the foot. We came out, scored the first touchdown, and then defensively had them in a 3rd down and gave up a big play, and that was kind of the story of the game. They were making big plays, we weren't, and lost by 35, but it is what it is. We had a fun season. I was just glad to finally get to experience that my senior year.
Right. So McDonald County is kind of a funny one. My stepdad told me a story 5 times about when he was assistant coach for Blair Oaks in probably the mid 2000s, I think, when they won state in 04 and 06. One of those years they went up to McDonald County, and he said that there was just McDonald County flags in every single building, and they were just all about their school there.
Yeah, they had a tailgate going when we pulled up. They had, I don't even know how many fire trucks that made a tunnel for the players to walk onto the field. They had so many. I think that was the first time they'd won a district, and honestly, I think it was ever. I think that was their first district championship in school history. So it was their first quarterfinal game, and packed stands, just so much support, and just a cool environment to play at. But man, that 3.5-hour drive, because we actually went up the night before and stayed in a hotel. But then after that game, we thought it was gonna be a party bus, because again, it was our first time going to the Final Four in 22 years. But we were all so tired from playing that game, just because. Again, that team was just big human beings. Their quarterback was built like a middle linebacker. And, that one took a toll on the body.
Right. Yeah. It seems like they're all about football up there. So.
Yeah, that Southwest Missouri certainly breeds football players.
Yeah, no kidding. I think if I go film football games, start doing that during the football season, maybe McDonald County is a location that I kind of look at.
Yeah, and I think this was a big year for them, and we'll see if they continue to grow in that sense.
Best of luck to them. So I want to ask you, what was your favorite quarterback to block for in your high school career?
I'd say Jacob Wilson. He was my grade, and we grew up together. So that's just kind of a no-brainer. His name in my Snapchat is quarterback number 1, just because he was my quarterback in 8th grade. I blocked for him freshman year, and then he actually played running back, outside linebacker our sophomore year, and then quarterback junior, senior year. So yeah, no-brainer.
So is he your overall favorite player that you got to play with at JC, or is there anybody else that comes to mind that you like playing with as well?
So there's a lot. I'd say I'll give you 2 more answers, but there's so many people I could list. Ben Bates, he's my best friend since kindergarten. He went to Trinity with me. Jacob went to Lewis and Clark. So we played football with Lewis and Clark because Trinity didn't have a football team. But I grew up with Ben playing all these different sports, flag football, and then I left them to play tackle. He kept playing flag, but we played basketball. And we're still friends. And so he played left tackle, I played left guard. So that was fun because he hurt himself, had a pretty horrific knee injury, so didn't get to play his sophomore or junior year. But senior year, got to come back and play right beside me on the offensive line, and that was a lot of fun. And then secondly, I'd say Josh Wilson. He was a wide receiver corner, and we carpooled every day. I picked him up, took him to early morning workouts, and took him home from practice. And I mean, that's just kind of a bond that can't really be replicated. Just the amount of hours spent together, we've grown really close.
Right. So as we wrap up the high school talk, I want to ask you, what credentials did you have during your career?
So I was 3-time All-State. Wasn't first team my senior year, which really, really sucked. I was pretty mad, but I've kind of not mad anymore. But I think that I've honestly attributed that to my thumb, and we didn't really play very many Class 4 schools, so it is what it is. I'm honored to be All-State, but I was a little mad just because I thought I earned it. And then I was 3-time first team All-Conference, first team All-District. So that was pretty cool to be a part of that. And a few times, I didn't win defense my senior year, but my junior year I was first team both sides of the ball, which was I was the only guy in the CMAC to do that, which pretty loaded conference. I was pretty honored to be awarded that.
Right. So let's move on to college now. I want to ask you, what was your recruiting process like?
So got my first interest like end of my sophomore year. Had some coaches come in and talk to me. Some Power 5. Went to camps. Honestly, did pretty awful in the camps just because we were a run team. Never really done any pass pro stuff. So that is what it is. And then still talking to these schools like Kansas State, Iowa State, Mizzou. Had a pretty good junior year. Again, got some more awards. And then was still talking to a lot of these teams coming spring, like Mizzou. Their O-line coach came to one of my basketball games. Had some schools stop by. Was texting these schools. Going into senior year, well, that spring is when I first got my first offer. Went on a visit to Mo State, and then once you get your first one, they like pile in. So like once you got your first one, I was getting a few every week. Piled up to like I think 15, something like that. But again, no Power 5. Had a few Group of 5, but then went to camps, did all right. But again, never kind of just balled out to where I'd earned that offer. So had it down to a few schools, some Group of 5, and Air Force, and decided Air Force was the best fit for me, just academically and athletically.
Right, you chose a run team. So you did touch on Air Force there, so I do want to ask you kind of an extended version of your answer. Why Air Force?
Well, first off, I'd always kind of been thinking Air Force. Going into the season, I knew I wanted to wait till after the season to commit, and Air Force started off 8-0, was having a heck of a season. Brady committed, he got in my ear. And I didn't want to sacrifice like my future to go play football like academically, and I knew Air Force would be that, wouldn't do that. So that was always on my radar, and then had it down to a few schools, took my official visit to Air Force, and committed on the official, decided that's where I wanted to be.
That's awesome. So you did mention Brady, but I do want to ask you, who are you most excited to play with?
Definitely Brady. Just it's nice having someone from your own hometown, and I mean we've all seen the film. Dude's a dog. I'm just excited to go play with him and hopefully stack up some W's.
Right. So I do want to ask you, your freshman year, do you plan on redshirting, or are you looking to get playing time right away?
So they don't actually redshirt at the Air Force Academy, but I will not be doing the prep school. So I'm going to be going direct to the school because like I think Brady talked to you, but prep school is kind of like redshirting, but I'm going to go straight direct, and we'll see what happens. My number one goal is just making the travel roster and getting to go to games and stuff like that, and just going to go give it my best and let the chips fall where they will.
Right. So what are your goals in your football career at Air Force?
Haven't really thought about it too much. Big deal for me is like one of the reasons that I decided Air Force is just because they've been like mid-season honor roll, finalists for the Joe Moore Award, which I don't know if you know what that is, but it's the award given to the number one offensive line in college football, and it's the only college football award that goes to like a unit. And Air Force has been at least one of the midseason honor roll or one of the semifinalists the past however many years. And so just to be on one of those lists would be so cool, just because like that is the offensive line award, and to win an award with your brothers is something that's cool, and I can certainly see it happening with how well they coach their offensive line.
Right. So we've got a few more questions, and we'll end up wrapping it up. I do want to ask you, are there any specific teams in the Mountain West that you're kind of keeping your eye on that you'd like to play?
I mean, Boise State, of course, with they just picked up 5-star quarterback transfer, and I mean, they've always been good, from beating Oklahoma and forget what bowl it was with the Statue of Liberty play, and historically the best Group of 5 team. And I mean, they're still good. You look at their recruiting class; it's not a recruiting class of a Group of 5 school, and we'll see what happens with that. They're definitely going to be tough, especially when you're trying to compete in a loaded Mountain West. And definitely UNLV, Barry Odom, Mizzou Made going over there, being the head coach. He's built an incredible program. Funny enough story, a D lineman from McDonald County was actually committed there. And so they definitely got some big guys that I'm going to have to deal with. But definitely those two schools, because they've recently kind of been the ones that run the Mountain West.
Right. So 2 more questions that we've got for today. I do want to ask you, of course, this one's kind of off the field. Let's get to the video game world. Are you excited for NCAA 25?
So I was pretty excited when they announced this, because I was nervous that Service Academy players wouldn't be able to be in it. But when they announced that the Service Academy players would, I was pretty excited, because I grew up playing 13 and 14, and I don't know, even if I'm a 25 overall, it's just cool to have your name. Like, I'm not going to have my face, but just have my height, weight, and my name. It's going to be pretty cool.
I agree with that. I think it'll be pretty fun. Maybe I'll use Air Force as well, so I can get you in the starting lineup with Brady as well on the other side of the ball. So our last question for today, what major are you doing at Air Force, and what are you kind of looking to do with your life?
So I'm going to be a biology major, and I'm going to be doing pre-med. I've always kind of been interested in it. And funny story, when I broke my thumb being on the sideline for 3 weeks, I became pretty close friends with our team doctor, Dr. Shell. And just last week, I got to shadow him for a few days. So that was kind of, it sucked when it happened, but looking back at it, it kind of opened some doors to make some connections and get involved in some stuff like that. And so long term, I want to be a surgeon. I'm thinking orthopedics, but we'll see what happens. That's a long way down the road.
Right. That was our last question. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
I appreciate it. Yeah, you're one of the best interviews that I've had for sure.
Thank you.
So that's all we've got for today. This has been Missouri Sports Talk. We'll see you guys next time.